Good morning, my loves. How you doing? Deanna here from deanna.org, and I'm here today to talk to you about the solar plexus chakra. But before I begin, I just want to say to you how excited I am to do my first stream on multiple platforms today. So I'm really hoping that we're going to do okay with regards to the platforms, and there aren't going to be any technical glitches. But let's see how we go. And also, I want to say, bear with me as I work out how all of this is as we go along. If there's anything that you notice, by the way, and you are watching and you would like to comment, please go ahead and leave me a comment, say hello, let me know where you're at so that I know that A, I'm receiving the comments, and B, you are hearing me clearly and everything is going fine with regards to the actual stream. So if I just do this, okay, let's begin. So we are at episode number 25 this morning, and we are going to talk about the solar plexus chakra. But there's a lot of information out there already about chakras. The purpose of these streams, the purpose of talking about chakras in terms of energy centers is really to expand our knowledge and for me to share with you the information that I've been receiving with regards to how the energy centers are evolving, which aspect of the energy center is evolving, because of course, as we are all waking up to our divine nature, the energy centers are of course evolving as well by default, or it's actually probably more accurate to say as a direct result of, as we change frequency, what the chakras are transmitting and what they're receiving also evolves, because it's a different frequency band. So we're again at the solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus chakra is is yellow color, or golden, if you will. When it's high vibrational, it tends to receive and transmit more of that beautiful golden hue, a little bit like the sun, hence the name solar, associated, or the sun associated with the solar plexus chakra. Essentially, the solar plexus chakra is just above your belly button, around the area of the diaphragm. So it has a very close association with your breath, with the center of your being, with that innate engine that drives your existence on this planet, being able to breathe. Because of course, without breath and without water, we have no life. So a solar plexus chakra, again, is a very important and quite specific aspect of the energetic journey, or the energetic portal within our body. Now, usually I try and dress accordingly. As I was looking in my wardrobe, I actually realized that I don't really have anything yellow. I've got a couple of I've got like a golden color skirt, and I've got, golden earrings and and this beautiful citrine necklace, but I don't have any yellow clothes. And I think the reason is kind of, maybe a little bit obvious. If I wore too much yellow, I just look like this giant pineapple. So I kind of stay away from yellow a little bit. But just bear with me with regards to that. But I just wanted you to know and be aware that the center of your being, just above the belly button, around the diaphragm area, is where the solar plexus chakra is. And again, to summarize, the solar plexus chakra as being yellow is also closely associated with the sun, hence the name solar. So let's move on and talk about some of the attributes of the solar plexus chakra. So broadly, the solar plexus chakra is associated because it's about that center, that core of your being. It's associated with your inner core, or the inner strength and courage of that you hold within yourself. So that center of your being that holds up your spine, how courageous you feel in the world, how much strength you believe that you hold within this world. Oh, hey, Lisa, thank you so much. Good morning. Hello. It's like 10 o'clock or something, 9:30 in Sydney, Australia. So thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate it. Also, because it's there's an association with the sun. The sun is obviously a star that is the brightest star in our galaxy. So it illuminates anything that it's near, right? And so having this association with the sun, as in your inner sun, it's actually about how the solar aspect of the plexus, if you will, illuminates your being from the inside out. So it's that inner illumination that happens. Now, here's the thing, right? With any of this awakening journey, of course, when we are talking about illumination, we are not talking about an external illumination. The internal illumination literally has to do with how we are illuminated from within, but to ourselves primarily, right? And an extension of that statement, therefore, is that the solar plexus is primarily associated with all things self. So things like, I was writing about this, of course, as I always do, as I'm, processing what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. All things self, meaning self-worth, self-respect, self-love, self-reliance, how we believe we can be self-made, our self-esteem, our self-motivation and drive to achieve, how we are self-dependent as opposed to codependent on others, yeah? Also, how we see our internal power, so self-powered, if you wish. The solar plexus chakra is quite a masculine energy, but it's also that determination and strength within, hence that inner core, that inner power, inner courage, inner strength, right? And so what happens is when we begin to awaken or wake up, is that this chakra, because it's so much about self, right? The journey of awakening is about that coming back into self. And so the solar plexus chakra plays a massive, I mean, they all do, but specifically this one, the solar plexus chakra, about that individuation process, about that understanding exactly who you are and how you function for yourself, within yourself, gets activated so strongly with the ignition of the Kundalini energy. Yeah, as it illuminates everything from within us, right? Now let me talk to you actually, before I talk to you about this, the other note that I made to mention is to go back to really highlight for you and illuminate for you the importance of the solar plexus chakra and its connection to the diaphragm, literally the breath of life. You can think of this as our very first experience of individuation within, as a soul expressing itself as an individual, happens right at birth, when we first come out of the mother's or you know, the woman's belly, in whichever format. The very first thing we have to do is breathe on our own. This is the biggest act of individuation in order to exist on this planet. The very first thing we do is be encouraged to breathe separately to our mother, because up until that point we are breathing with the help of the connection, the placenta connecting the mother and the child, right? And so when we come out of the womb, we must breathe on our own through the diaphragm. And so this is the very first act of individuation, and a direct connection between the diaphragm, your breath, and the solar plexus chakra. Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm already at 13 minutes. My goodness. Whew. Okay. So like with the other videos, there is of course, a journey of the solar plexus chakra from and so there's you know, the opposing expressions of the solar plexus chakra, or the polarities of the solar plexus chakra. One is the higher expression of the solar plexus chakra, or the archetype of the higher expression, and one is the lower, the more dense and out of balance expression of the solar plexus chakra. So the highest expression of the solar plexus chakra in terms of an archetype is that of the warrior. So that internal warrior. It plays out in that we get to learn how to be the hero, the heroine of our own life, of our own story. And we use every situation that we create, or that we manifest, or that we find ourselves in, to help us develop intentionally and with a specific direction. Now think about that. In order to achieve this, you have to be present. There has to be a degree of self-mastery. You must understand who you are. You must understand self in order to understand where you're at in the present moment, and then how you co-create your reality, right? Which in other words means which direction, focus direction, intentional direction you are moving towards. And so therefore, or hence, the hero, the heroine of your own story, right? And the warrior archetype. Now, on the other, and so this is the healthy expression of the solar plexus chakra, right? In terms of archetype. Now, the out of balance, or expression of the solar plexus chakra is that of the servant, right? Where we haven't yet learned how to value our own self. So we're giving too much of our power away to others, to external situations, people, etc. And we undervalue our self, our power, innate power, our courage, our strength, and we don't honor our own basic worth, basically, or have many of those attributes that I talked about before, self attributes, freely embodied and freely flowing through to and from the solar plexus chakra. Now let me now talk to you about what are some of the ego traits, or the behaviors of the unbalanced aspect, or the servant aspect of the solar plexus chakra. So this can play out in terms of being antisocial, right? People that have an underdeveloped or out of balance solar plexus chakra can also be, or appear to be, quite intimidating. And when I think of this, or when I intuit this energy, what speaks to me is, that saying about attack is the best defense. So when we don't feel worthy in the world, and we don't believe we are strong, we can attack first, or reject first, or hurt first, in order to prevent that being done to ourselves. That's sort of what comes to the forefront when I'm sort of channeling or connecting with this energy. Of course, that the processing of that energy is that is quite irrational. It's out of balance and harmony. There's no ease or peace with this. The behavior can be quite irrational, illogical. I've got down here on my notes, which I'm going to share as I usually do. Splits hairs, is argumentative, looks for a fight but calls it a debate. Very critical of their own self, but also others. Again, that giving oneself the excuse that it's okay to attack first in order to prevent personal pain. Fake sense of superiority, controlling, verbose. Okay. Have you ever met, seen, read, and I see this quite often, especially on social media, where people use language to protect themselves, because they become verbose, as in overwhelmingly mouthy, use language, just go blah, 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 and they just spew their language out into the universe, or throw their intellectual whatever at the attempt to confuse or to patronize or to present as better than or more intellectual than. I call that. I've actually met quite a few people that are quite intellectual in this way, and so they use their intellectual or their high intellect to protect or to hide behind. I call it verbal acrobatics, really, when just language is used to confuse and appear to be, something that you're not really. Of course, judgmental, passive, unreliable, very low self-esteem, or very low on the scale of anything self, and always comparing. Oh, hey, honey, how you doing, Karen? How you doing? What else was I saying? Okay. Oh, the demon is shame. Really not being able to express self with integrity and full transparency. So the self is veiled in those layers of intellect or judgment or persecution of other, or attack so that you don't get attacked, and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. In my personal experience, and also based on the research that I have done, the physical body responds to this toxic self-image in the way that it can create symptoms of physical ailments that are around stomach ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome. Let me see, what else have I got here? Arthritis, because it's that really rigid kind of way of protecting self. Autoimmune ailments, overactive or underactive thyroid. I've had this. In fact, I have a really sluggish thyroid, so I understand this thing around really having an unbalanced view or observation or value around self. Yeah. Chronic fatigue, because there's so much energy being put outwards in order to protect, that there's like an ongoing fatigue thing going on. And the other thing that I also want to say, that the journey of awakening, what happens quite a lot is that this triggers light workers that are also empaths to learn how to take better care of themselves, because this layer, this boundary, this thing around self-respect when you're an empath, being able to set boundaries, is almost non-existent until we step into awareness, until some of that energy that the empath is always putting outwards or has out here around healing and saving others or intuiting pain in others is taken back, recalibrated to self, and then there's a healthy way of holding space as opposed to needing to rescue everybody. Yeah, I'm sure that that's going to resonate with many empaths, and many that have been on this journey are on this journey. Let me just see what else. Oh, okay. So, you know how I was saying that the solar plexus is so closely connected with the diaphragm, of course, and with the breath? When the solar plexus is out of balance, right, there's a couple of things that manifest from the perspective of the unbalanced solar plexus. One is shallow breath, where we can't be still long enough to take a slow, deep breath all the way to the diaphragm. And we are defaulting to a shallow breath, which is just this. Yeah. So that's also directly connected to anxiety. Anxiety being, of course, a mental illness, and it is mostly about anxiety, not just about that, but mostly about the fear of the unknown in the future, or the fear of future, not knowing what the future will bring. Many people, including myself, experience anxiety at least a few times in their life. Those that are clinically anxious and have mental health concerns with regards to this imbalance, often are not able to be present long enough to even take a deep breath, because it is all about this projection into the future and fear of what the future will bring. Okay. And just in case you're wondering, you may or may not know, I'm actually a qualified counselor psychologist. So I have, I'm speaking from professional training, not from something else. Okay. Yeah, so skin disorders, eating disorders, hernia, liver cancer, adrenal disorders, chronic fatigue, hypoglycemia, anxiety attacks, headaches, arthritis, autoimmune ailments, diabetes, any kind of digestive problem, all associated with the solar plexus chakra. So that's on the physical level, when the energy is not being processed properly, obviously, then it appears as energy first. It comes through the emotional body filter, is perceived by the mind, and then manifested into reality, or transmitted into the physical reality from that space. So see how it's all connected? And if this is ongoing, then physical ailments follow. Okay, now let me talk to you now, and I've mentioned already some. What are the soul traits, behavior traits? So when there is a deeper knowing, an embodiment of the attributes that make up the solar plexus energy or process, and it's done in a healthy, harmonious and balanced way, then the behavior is like this. There is an inner strength and courage and a knowing that a person, that you and I, can move forward with strength, with integrity and transparency against all odds, if you will, right? Despite of what might be going on outside in the world. And isn't it interesting? We're at that time now. We have enough solar plexus courage, inner strength to appreciate, to know that we have the strength and the courage and the respect and the love and the esteem, the determination to move forward, even if it's one little step at a time. Yeah. Opinions of others don't concern us, and we don't hang our opinion of ourselves on somebody else's opinion of us. So this automatically deletes the need to get into debating, to being verbose or argumentative, or any of those sorts of things that are playing out on social media. Or in the world as a general. It kind of neutralizes separation and allows for more tolerance and acceptance that we are individual here, but really just a representation of all that is. Yeah. We understand that we are self-motivated, that we create or co-create, like I said before, our reality. We are intellectually curious, but not rigid, organized, and embrace challenge and change, as opposed to put up a fight, right? Okay. Here's something really interesting. I hope that makes sense, by the way, right? I'm going to share these with you when we are finished in the comments anyway, so you'll be able to see this. But here's a little footnote around this information. The solar plexus chakra, which is about that journey of self, the empowerment and the confidence, is linked to the father energy, where the sacral is linked to the mother energy. The solar plexus is linked more to the father energy. If the father, the masculine expression that we look up to as children, was dynamic, loving, positively expressing and living his dreams, then our upbringing will give us a strong understanding and control of our emotions, habits, a strong foundation for the way we see ourselves and our place in the world, right? Joy, acknowledgement of self-worth and power. Yes, the acknowledgement, the aspect of acknowledging oneself, right? I am worthy. I have something to contribute in the world. I have respect for myself. I can love myself, care for myself, nurture myself. I can find a solution. I can solve this problem. I'm okay to be challenged. I don't have to take everything personally. Not everything is an attack, so I attack first before somebody hurts me. All of those sorts of implications, right, are more neutralized. There's a healthier foundation, but around the father energy, right? So I just wanted to mention that and bring that into this conversation where you are perhaps doing some work within yourself. And of course, the expression of this out in the world is, if we are just having if we are looking at what's going on more from that neutral observer perspective, then we will see that this struggle going on at the moment is really all about primarily about the masculine energy, and of course the patriarchal paradigm that we have been in for a very long time, that is struggling, that's really collapsing, and it's struggling to survive. So it's putting up a fight. again, it's that attack first before you really find or discover or disclose vulnerabilities. It's really just a generalized comment on nothing specific, but just sort of out there in the world, okay? All right, now, when you're working with your solar plexus chakra, you can ask yourself, and again, I will have this in the comments, but you can ask yourself questions like, how would you rate your sense of personal power? Not based on what you think other people think of you, but how would you rate your own personal power? Are you freely expressing aspects of yourself, like self-confidence, self-respect, are you self-motivated? Are you self-fulfilled? As in, are you meeting your own needs? Yeah. As opposed to hanging your needs on being met by somebody else. Yeah. You could also ask yourself, do you accomplish what you set out to do from beginning to end? Or do you give up before you've accomplished your goals because they're suddenly too hard, or somebody else made me do something else, or I got distracted, or blah, 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 right? How do you rate your metabolism? Really important clue as to where you're at with your solar plexus chakra and what your physical connection is to this energy portal. This is really interesting. How do you use your anger? Because undoubtedly we all have triggers of anger. Anger really is just another emotion, but it is about how it's used. Can you find ways to utilize this explosion of energy in a positive way, or is it suppressed? Is it judged as wrong? And so on and so forth. Or is it just spewed out and taken out, like, what's the word? Taken out on somebody else, right? So you project it outwardly onto somebody else. How do you define inner strength and courage? What is courage? Anyone know? Because I don't, but I said it. How does inner strength and courage relate to you and your life experience? Okay. Have I mostly covered everything? Hang on. Okay. So I want to very quickly remind you, and then we're going to finish up, the 5D evolutionary aspect and the purpose of the solar plexus chakra. So I've mentioned this already, but let me quickly summarize. The purpose of the solar plexus chakra is for you to reclaim your power, your strength, and your courage. Bring it back into your center so that you can fully and wholly rebuild your foundations around who you know you are in this world. And you need a healthy, one of a better word, I actually don't like this word, but I'm going to use it just to kind of express the sentiment, opinion of yourself. Who do you think you are? Who do you know you are, right? So that would be the purpose of the chakra, and this gets activated, right? Understanding the point of individuation within the awakening journey so that there is no spiritual bypassing, There's no getting around the fact that you have to come in order to be reborn with that knowing that you are of divine nature. You can't bypass this step. It's not something that happens from the outside and the angels just bless you with, oh, and then all of a sudden you're spiritual. That is, well, let me just say bullshit. You've got to come back into yourself, understand your journey, have a healthy foundation, a divine foundation for self. All of this happens in the solar plexus chakra in order to then be able to transmit the highest possible version of the solar, of your sun, of your illumination from that center, so that when you go up into your heart chakra, right, what you are loving is all of you, and you are understanding all of you, because there is no unconditional love. If in your solar plexus chakra you are still judging yourself as afraid, vulnerable, as a chicken shit, as you like you can't function, you're codependent on others, understand that all of these things are interconnected but not codependent, right? So that is the 5D evolution of the solar plexus chakra. Now, just one moment. Okay. Yeah, so that's the purpose, to reclaim, come back in, take the journey of self in order to individuate, be a fully sick, strong expression of self, and then you have all of you to contribute outwards without having those unconscious programs running the show around your, how you're going to connect with the world around you and how you are codependent on something else or someone else. So that's a pretty big one. I mean, they're all really huge. I mean, this is really important, awareness for all of us. I hope you got something out of that, my loves. I hope you are understanding that the sun shining from within you, the golden rays of light, of Christ consciousness, are calling to you, and a part of that call is resonant within your solar center. Within your solar center. And this center is connected to your vitality, to your breath. One of the reasons why you're able to exist in this world. So use it wisely. Breathe. Be present in the moment. Take a deep breath. Practice breath work. Practice being both mindful and heartful. Part of all of this is how to be solar present, as in with your inner light, with who you truly are, and how you share this experience with yourself first before you share it with others by transmission. I hope this was helpful. If there are any questions, please leave a comment. I'm really happy to answer them for you. And I hope this broadcast was recorded. Okay? Mm. Yep. And I will see you very soon over the next couple of days. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the connection between spiritual awakening and the emotional body, because I think many are struggling with this at the moment. The emotional body is really activated, and we are looking for answers in all the wrong places, but it is part of the awakening process, so it's all good. Okay, my loves. Mwah! Love you so much. I'll catch you later. Bye. Okay.